Alright, so hey everybody, I know it's been quite a while. I think the last video that I shot was in July. It was probably July or August. Most likely July, but I know I've been slacking on the content, trying to get more consistent with it. This here is the top of the year. I think it's January 2nd. And what I'm doing is continuing to post, whether it's few or far between or steady as ready. And for this video, I know people have been following me, people have seen some of my content, even though it's been a while. And I just want to take this time to reintroduce myself. I'm Caleb, the software developer who worked in the warehouse for 10 years and then made the transition from being in the warehouse as a supervisor to a software developer in tech. And the last video I made, I think I was given like the job updates, and I guess my update on that is that position, actually that whole company is no longer. So a few weeks ago we had a meeting and realized that that was the end of the job, but that doesn't stop me from being fully invested in this tech career. And I mean, I've been blessed to learn a lot, understand a lot more programmatically, with code, just understanding computer science to a much deeper level, to where now when I approach new topics, I have a much better understanding and can get a better grasp on what is actually going on. So along with me updating you of all that, I do want to kind of give you all a peek in on what I'm learning. I was talking to a good friend of mine and he was telling me about PL SQL. I already use SQL pretty much every day, and I bought this back in July. It's called O'Reilly SQL Pocket Guide, and it covers MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, SQL Server, and SQLite. So it's very handy, and it's handy for me because on the job I was doing MySQL, but here what I've been learning the past couple of weeks is, which is PL SQL, it's only used in Oracle, and PL SQL is just a procedural structured query language. So it's essentially actually programming in SQL. In the past, I've only used SQL to write queries, do they call it DML, database manipulation, with like insert, update, or delete statements. But this, after looking at PL SQL for a little bit, I'm actually pretty enamored by the way that you are able to use it just as a program language. It has some similarities to JavaScript, but one thing that I was really instructed to take a deeper look at was procedures. You have stored procedures where when you're writing blocks of code in PL SQL, you have a beginning and an end. Well, you have the executable code in the beginning and the end. You have a declare block where if there's any variables or anything that you're going to use in that beginning, in between the beginning and end, then you need to declare it so it's available. You have to allocate space in the memory to be able to use it. And you also have exception handling, just like any other program language. It's very important to make sure that if a problem does arise when your code is trying to run, that you properly handle exceptions so it doesn't crash and break everything. And that is just some basic things that I've been have picked up on. And what I want to do is show you all what I've learned as far as the procedures. They call them stored procedures because you create a block of code, a block of PL SQL, and you store it in memory. That way, if you have to use it again, you don't have to write all of those lines of code again over and over. Just like in JavaScript, if you're going to be using something over and over, or any type of function, instead of just writing spaghetti code, you can block it up, or any repeated task create a function for it, and then just pass in parameters for whenever you need to use it again. And that's the same way with the store procedures. So what I'm going to do here is cue you up on the screen and show you that how you would do that in PL SQL. So here, earlier I made one called update employment. I think it's here. It's something really simple. What I'm using here are sample tables. OT stands for Oracle tutorial. And let me refresh that to have to reestablish the connection. Make sure everything is good to be able to use it. That's not what I was looking for. Let's see, let's try to run that. Or let's just try to run something real quick. Okay, cool. Now, the result I got there is the email is jamiebutler.example.com, and what I have here is a database called OT, and it has a bunch of tables in it. Hold up. Oh, probably just need to refresh it. All right, so I got all these tables. You got contacts, countries, customers, employees, inventory. I mean, it's a whole bunch of tables. So just to give you an example of what we got going on here, let's say something like, so here we have the inventories table, and what it has is just a product ID, warehouse ID, and a quantity. Quite a bit. Wow, I didn't realize it was so many. So you have over 1,000 entries in that. And what I did earlier was made a procedure. It's called update employment. Here I can change it to something that's more applicable. I'll say get employee email. And let me run that. Also, learn how to read your error codes. Save you a lot of time. All right. Let's run that. So what we have here, if you go into the procedures, it's in there, I promise. Here we have get employee email. And what it is you enter the ID of the employee that's from the employees table, and from that, it gives you the email of whatever employee that you have. So let's let's open up another, and let's just say execute. What did I name it? Get employee email. And they were about 100 and something. So let's say who's the 75th employee, and let's run that and see what we get. It says, okay, the email is jamie.butler. Oh, I need to open up a new one. Let's run it again. Okay, imogen.body@example.com. And that's probably the most basic example of a store procedure that takes parameters that you'll see And what I like about that and just this point in my career is that after using JavaScript on a daily basis and SQL almost on a daily basis, this is almost, it feels like it's a combination of two. I get to create a function. I'll walk you through it. I call it a function. A function is also another keyword that's in PL SQL, so it's not exactly the same as a procedure, but I think those are all classified as subprograms. But in this case, I create a procedure, I give it a name, allocate that in memory, and then this has one parameter. It says one ID in, and it says in the type of variable it'll be a number. And what it is this parameter is being inserted into the procedure. It's just taking an input. You have other parameters. You have in, out, and I believe there's one called in out. And if I were to put an out, let's say ID out number, I think what that does is in your select statement, the data that is pulled from the query is assigned to the out number, or not the out number, but the out variable, and then that is given to you as a result, and you would just use that as a parameter. And in this case, since I'm only using one parameter, it's taking that parameter and is using that to sort of match up what parameter I'm looking for in the query. So in this case, ID in, and I declared new email as varchar that could take up to 100 spaces in memory. It says select email because if you look at the employees table, let's look at the employees table. Oh. All right. If you select all from the employees table, you have the employee ID, you have the first name. Oh, that's ugly. Okay. Let's run it again. All right, you have the employee ID, first name, last name, email, phone, hire date, manager ID, and the job title. And what I'm doing here is saying when you enter the employee ID, I have to, since email is already taken, I have to give it a variable to put in to it. So I said select email into new email. So what it is taking that email and it's putting it into this new email variable, which I have assigned right here from the employees table, where the employee ID is the same as the ID that you input. So here, when I ran it, I put 75. It was just a random number. I have no idea what that was. But if we look here at the employees table, go down to 75. I don't know why the, oh, it's a different one. Okay, go down to 75. Cause, oh, let's sort that. Here, let's mess with that. Oh. Let's run it again, because right now it just has all of the IDs or the row numbers, and it's not sorted from that. So let's sort that out and see what we get. Okay, now let's go down to 75. And you have the same thing as we have there. And now, since we have the procedure created, whenever we want to use it, you can say execute get employee. Our favorite number is 22. Let's see what comes up from that. You have Liam Henderson. And let's go back to the employees table and see what we get. Liam Henderson. So that's just, like I said before, that's probably the most basic example of what you'll see. You can do a lot with that, just like you can do a lot with a function in JavaScript. You can say every time this function is called, console log hello world. Most programming languages are first thing you write is some variation of hello world. You can have something as simple or complex as what I made at my old job, which was a speech to text component, where every time that function was called, it ran a speech to text, a recognition web API that detected your voice, and whatever machine learning was behind the API was able to decipher what you were saying, spell it out, even down to punctuation, and that function was to capture. It was so many things in that function. It was listening for mouse clicks to turn the mouse off when you were finished talking, and just other things. But in a data sense, dealing with PL SQL, you may need something to handle so many different conditions. So you can have update job status, or update, or even insert a new employee into the database, or let's say update or insert. And with the parameters given, you can have something where it checks to see if the employee is already in there. And if the employee is in there, all it does is maybe update a value in that row. And let's say if the employee is not already existing, maybe it will make a new row and give it those parameters, assign the parameters, the values that's in the table. So that's just a quick update. Hopefully I'll be more consistent and just continue to bring you along in my journey. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and especially for those who are still trying to break into the industry. You just have to keep doing it. You'll get better and better. All you need is one chance. Get that opportunity to prove yourself, and then the sky is the limit. Just keep pushing, and thanks for watching.